Greetings, everyone. I'm Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 19 of my top 30 favorite title tracks of all time. We've been counting down each and every day here this month in September 2025. Those title tracks to the album of the same name, right? Today we have a band that there are a couple of songs that are kind of loose title tracks that I actually decided not to pick because they're sort of title tracks, but not. Some bands do that. It's like they have the name of the album, and then you have the song that's sort of similar, but not. And this band has a lot of really good title tracks. So I said, you know what? Let's leave a couple out for today, so I can squeeze a couple in, right? Couple out, squeeze a couple in. Yeah, sort of that sort of thing, right? So let's talk about the band a little bit. That band is Thin Lizzy. Yes, indeed. And my first selection of favorite title tracks of a handful of them today. This album was released March 26, 1976. Recorded at Rampart Studios in London, England. Produced by John Alcock for Mercury Records here in the States. Vertigo over in the UK. This is the sixth studio album from Thin Lizzy. Of course, it's Jailbreak, right? And it opens the album. Great song. It's 4 minutes of just melodic hard rock bliss, right? So good. The riffs are great. The chorus is great. The pre-chorus is really good too. Phil's vocals are amazing. Oh, let's talk about the band, right? So, of course, Phil Lynott on bass guitar and lead vocals. We've got the guitar duo extraordinaire of Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson. And then, of course, Brian Downey on drums, the great Brian Downey on drums. So Jailbreak starts off an album that, pretty much start to finish, doesn't really have any weak points. There might be a song or two that just aren't quite up to the rest, but they're still really good. But, man, this album, it just kicks off with Jailbreak. So memorable, so upbeat, so rockin', blistering guitars, right? Great riffs. Everything about it's really good. It's catchy. And, of course, you got, Angel from the Coast and Warriors and The Boys Are Back in Town, Cowboy Song, a great Emerald, and everything else, right? All sorts of great stuff. Classic. To me, this album starts off amazing, ends amazing. What better way to start an album than with Jailbreak and then end it with Emerald? Doesn't get much better than that. And all the stuff in between is just icing on that cake, right? The cake itself's got to be pretty damn good. So from there, I'm going to go with an album of theirs that was released September 2nd, 1977. Recorded at Toronto Sound in Toronto, Canada. Produced by the band with Tony Visconti for Vertigo Records. Talking about Bad Reputation. And again, it's second on the album. I would argue that Bad Reputation is a better opener than Soldier of Fortune. I love Soldier of Fortune, but I think Bad Reputation just kicks off the album. Dun 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 dun. You got a bad reputation. Dun 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 dun. It's mean. It's lean. It's so good. It's got all the qualities that you love about Thin Lizzy. And again, Soldier of Fortune is really good. But for me, I would have liked Bad Reputation starting off, leading into Opium Trail, and then maybe Soldier of Fortune going into Southbound. I don't know. I mean, it's a really underrated album. This is a really, really good album. And, of course, this is the album after Brian Robertson kind of got himself kicked out of the band, right? Because he had that altercation in the bar. He was all sorts of drunk and got into the fight, busted up his hand, and Phil was just kind of like, all right, enough of this guy already. So Scott Gorham does most of the lead guitar work on this album. But Brian does appear on a couple tracks. But it's kind of like a trio as you see on the album. I mean, Brian's on enough of the album, but at this point in time, he wasn't featured as a member of the band. He would soon rejoin the band full time. But Phil, Scott, and Brian, of course, the stalwarts here on this album. Great stuff. Bad Reputation is so good. It's one of their kind of top hard rock songs, I think. I mean, they have a lot of great hard rock songs, but it's just, I love the intensity of it. And it's kind of darker and lean, like I said, mean, and just really, really good stuff. Great, great, great song. So that's my next pick. From there, we're going to go to the next album. which again, this is a classic title track. Released April 13th, 1979 was the album, recorded at Paris, France at Pathé, Marconi EMI Studios, as well as Good Earth Studios and Morgan Studios in London and the UK. Again, produced by the band alongside Tony Visconti for Vertigo, Warner, Mercury, depending on where you are. I'm talking about Black Rose. Of course, the title track is, however you say it, Rosendaub, Black Rose, a rock legend, right? Classic track. Of course, this album features a slightly different lineup. So Brian Robertson has come and gone once again. So now we've got Phil, Scott, and Brian Downey alongside Mr. Gary Moore on lead rhythm guitars and backing vocals. And he makes a major statement on Black Rose, which is this rambling 7-minute, rambling in a good way, 7-minute long classic, so Irish, right? And then how about Gary busting it loose on that midsection, guitar barrage. Oh my God, so good. I'm a huge Gary Moore fan, and I've done plenty of shows and talked a ton in my life about the amazing guitar skills of Gary Moore, and I've talked about my favorite guitar parts and guitar solos and guitar riffs and favorite albums and favorite songs. And for some reason, I always fail to mention how great he is on Black Rose on this song. Just so amazing. Just so amazing. You could just imagine, like, you're Scott Gorham and Gary Moore comes into the band and he's sitting in the studio and you're watching him laying this down. You're kind of like, oof, as great as I am not worthy, man. It's like, and Scott's amazing. Scott, I guess alongside Brian Robertson, they're pretty equally matched. But, you bring in a Gary Moore, you bring in a John Sykes. As formidable as the skills of Scott Gorham are, it's like almost like you bring in these amazing virtuosos, and it's got to be a little intimidating, right? You would think. I don't know. But great stuff. That's my next pick. Wait, we're not done. We're not done with the Thin Lizzy. We're not done with the Lizzy. Let's go to the next album. Released October 10th, 1980. Recorded at Good Earth Studios in London, England. Produced by the band alongside Kit Woolven for Warner Brothers Mercury Vertigo Records. I'm talking about Chinatown. Yes, indeed. So here we have Gary Moore kind of came and went, had a cup of coffee with the band, left once again. They bring in a guy called Snowy White, who's a very, very different player from anybody they've had in the band before. He's more of a blues player. He kind of fits in pretty well here. It's maybe not as exciting as a Gary Moore or a Brian Robertson or a John Sykes who follows him. But I think he does a really good job for himself. And Chinatown, which is the second song, again, and Black Rose, Rosendaub, however you say that, is the last song on here. And I would argue that it is a perfect final song for this album. Black Rose would not be better served anywhere else on this album except exactly where it is, which is the final track that kind of takes you out at the end. Here we've got Chinatown, another big, blistering hard rocker with a great guitar lick, great chorus, is second. Yeah, I think it would be a better opening track. Nothing wrong with We Will Be Strong. We Will Be Strong is fine. Or maybe Chinatown would be better served on side 2. I don't know. You got opening side 2 is Having a Good Time. Fun song. Hey You finishes out. Okay. Pretty good. Killer on the Loose closes side 1. That's a good closer on side 1. Chinatown should have led this album off, but it's a really, really good song nonetheless. It's one of my favorites here. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to skip over an album and go to one that was released March 4th, 1983, recorded at Lombard Sound in Dublin, Ireland, also at the Power Plant in London, and Boathouse Studios in London, produced by the band and Chris Tsangarides for Vertigo, Mercury, and Warner Brother Records. First and only album with John Sykes on guitar, replacing Snowy White, Thunder and Lightning. And it is the opening title track. What a way to open up Thin Lizzy's heaviest album of all time. Their final album, one of the great final albums of all time. And just a kick-ass heavy metal song from Thin Lizzy. Doesn't get much better. The big, bruising, raging riffs, that just screaming guitar solo from John Sykes, who comes over, of course, from Tigers of Pantang, and just wows on this album. And of course, he gets the attention of a guy named David Coverdale, who then recruits him into Whitesnake shortly after the demise of Thin Lizzy, because of course this was Thin Lizzy's final album, final tour. That would be it. And Thunder and Lightning, such a great title track. So good. And that is my final pick for today. So of course, some of you may be asking, well, Pete, why didn't you pick Fightin'? Well, because the album is called Fightin', and the song is Fighting My Way Back. Fighting My Way Back. Fighting My Way Back. I guess it's a title track. I always thought it was a title track, but we're splitting hairs here, and I love it. I decided not to pick it. You got Johnny the Fox. There is no song on the album called Johnny the Fox. There is, Oh Johnny, right? There's that. And there is also, hold on. Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed. I could put spasm on the title of that. So again, that and Fighting My Way Back are kind of title tracks. Kind of. Sort of. I could have picked them if I wanted to. I just figured, let me squeeze some, the non-obvious stuff in here. And this is no disrespect to, a couple others in the catalog either. Renegade. I'm not an enormous fan of Renegade, right? You've also got a couple others here in the catalog. But, I think for me, these are among my favorites. Could include them all, right? It's Thin Lizzy, right? So anyway, those are my picks for today. Thunder and Lightning, Chinatown, Black Rose, Bad Reputation, and Jailbreak. Let us know what you think of these down in the comments below. I've seen many of you pick some of these already, so Thin Lizzy is beloved amongst our viewership, which is great. Happy to see that. And we'll see you tomorrow for more, right? Stay tuned. We've got coming up on the channel Friday morning Funhouse with Martin Popoff. We've got the Professor's Picks later today. We've got the review crew tomorrow. Jamie Laszlo and myself will be doing the review 2. Talking more about Rock Candy Records and a whole bunch of other things that we've got from that reissue label. And then Sunday, you got 2 Ranking the Album shows. One of Satin Whale, very cool prog band from the 70s, and the other, the great pomp rock legends Trillion. I'll be joined by Grant Arthur for that particular one. Man, those Trillion albums are great. Can't wait to talk to Grant about that. I have my list all ready to go, and I'm like, oof, man, these albums are top notch. So anyway, that's coming up on Sunday, so stay tuned. Also, we got New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal Primer with myself and Rich Catino. We're going to be reviewing new albums from Helm's Deep, Burning Witches, and Haunt. 3 very cool bands that perpetrate this whole new wave of traditional heavy metal thing. So we got 3 brand new albums. That's what we're going to be doing on that show going forward, is talking about brand new releases of bands that perform this type of heavy metal. So stay tuned for that and more. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.